How's it going? This is Josh. We're going to be doing differences of squares today. And so I already wrote some stuff up here because I wanted, in the interest of time, like these take a little bit, and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to do that. So a long time ago, we talked about how we could have these certain types of binomials, right? X plus 3, x minus 3. And what's going to happen when we FOIL this, we're going to get x squared, and then we're going to get a minus 3x, and a plus 3x, and then a minus 9. And the middle's going to disappear because we have a plus 3x, minus 3x. What we're left with is x squared minus 9. Essentially, we have the front value squared and the back value squared as well. And so these are called differences of squares. And you might notice that this one has a subtraction, and all of these guys have a subtraction. So essentially it's the same thing over and over with all of these. As I do one or two of them, if you want to stop the video, like I always recommend, do the rest of them and see what you get. That'd be great. This last one here is from the homework, so I want to make sure we cover that guy as well. Just because it's a little bit bigger, but it's pretty much the same idea. So what they want you to understand is, we have this and this creates this. So can we go backwards from here and get to this? Yes. And it's pretty straightforward, okay? They're wanting you to succeed. There's nothing that's going to not work. There's none of these, at least in this homework or this lesson, where there's just no solution, okay? That's kind of messed up. All of these will have perfect squares. And you might notice by just looking at some of these problems, a lot of these number values are a number times itself, right? It's a number squared, meaning that that's what's going to be our answer. So if I were, let's say I started with this guy here, x squared minus 9. Okay, well, if I know I needed to factor this, and the wording is like, factor each polynomial. That's what they're going to say in the book. All right, so I know I'm going to have an x in the front and an x back here. It's a minus, and when I FOIL it, and I do last, I need a plus and a minus to make a minus, right? Positive times negative is negative. So I can write those guys in. And then what number makes a 9? 3. Could I check it and then FOIL it and come up with that answer? Yes. Okay, so the nice thing is you are kind of able to check these guys. All right, so let's now jump into these. That's what they want you to do, is bust this thing apart. Okay, so let's look at this first one here. I got 16h squared minus 9a squared. You'll notice that everything that's in here is something squared. So that should hopefully start to give you some hints as to what could I break this thing up into. And if you're ever not sure, FOIL the thing and see if it matches. Let's see here. What number squared makes a 16? 4. Okay, and I have h squared, so I'm going to need some h's. And I know that all of these guys here are going to be plus minus because I want the middle part to disappear, right? I'm using the same values in the front and the back, and now it's just a matter of having one of them be positive, one of them be negative so that they cancel out or equal 0, and then I'm left with the front and the back. So what number squared makes a 9? 3. And I need an a as well, because a times a will get me a squared. Now, if you want to practice and FOIL it, you can. You're going to get 16h squared. You're going to get minus 12ah plus 12ah. That's your thing that'll drop out and become a 0. And then you have a minus 9a squared. Okay? And that's it. Okay, let's keep going. So now that you've watched at least those first couple examples, if you want to start moving ahead, that would be fantastic. There's a couple little twists in here. I'm trying to keep things a little bit interesting. But, nothing too crazy, all right? And like I said on my last video, if you're getting the main idea, if what I'm doing up here, if you can watch it and go, okay, Josh, it's making sense, don't get too crazy. As long as you give me the basics, I'm seeing what's happening. That's awesome, okay? If you're totally lost, send me a message, get in contact, do something, help yourself out. I even have other videos that support some of these topics. But if you're getting the main ideas, that's key, okay? feel successful or feel success, or I don't know how to say it. I guess feel like you are being successful if you're at least understanding the main idea. And then if you're doing homework and you're practicing these and you're getting them, psh, dude, that's awesome, okay? This whole remote learning thing is totally, totally crazy. That's a 4 and then a B squared. I try to make my B's like real obvious so they don't look like 6s. You know, speaking of this whole like time that we're spending at home and everything, like I said, if you want to get started on this and not listen to me, that's fine. We were going through the basement, we're digging through all these boxes, and my 9-year-old, he found this whistle that was given to him like, I don't know, years ago for his birthday. And so he's running around the house, blowing that whistle, blowing it and I'm going, oh my gosh. Like, you know, at first it was great, and then it just made me totally crazy. And by the middle of the day, I was going, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw that thing in the trash. And so he's blowing the whistle, and I said to him, you know what? I'm going to give you one last chance. But unfortunately, he blew it. Get it? Okay. I'll just keep on going here, since once again I'm talking to myself. Perfect squared numbers, right? We got differences of squares. So let's just make our binomials here. What number makes a 121? And again, you know, I've been telling people that they need to know their math facts up to their 13s. If you can learn that by 5th grade, 6th grade, man, that is awesome, because they show up so often, and the faster you can get with those math facts, the better off you'll be. What number makes a 121? 11. And do I need a X or Y or anything? No, I don't. And I know one of them is going to be plus and one's going to be minus. And then I need, what number makes a 4? 2. And I need some B's. That's it. Okay. I factored out the front, factored the back. The middles are going to disappear. Done. Okay. So let's just keep on going. This might actually be a pretty quick lesson. I didn't know how long this one was going to take, which is why I wrote some of that stuff on the board right away. 27g to the third minus 3g. All right. Now, like I said, the directions say to factor the polynomial. And I actually like it or prefer it when it says factor the polynomial completely, right? When it says completely, I don't know, for some reason in my brain that triggers like completely means I need to pull out everything I can. Remember that last lesson that was super crazy hard? You got to pull out everything you can before you start working on this guy, okay? So, what is the most of something I can take out? Well, again, I'm pretty good with my numbers. I see G's, okay? So let me take that out first. And then something times something gets me to 27, and this is also a 3, so I'm going to go with the number 3, right? Because 9 times 3 is 27. So I'm going to end up with 9g, squared minus 1. Now this one's kind of interesting because you have a 1 back here, but that's okay. What you need to do with all of these problems is factor out what you can, just like we did, then look at what's left, like let's say this was what was left, and say, okay, can I bust this guy down into another level of stuff, okay? So let's look at this. Can I? Well, I got a squared number, a squared amount, and this is the tricky part right here because anything 1 squared is just 1. So it looks kind of not obvious, but it is squareable. You can work with this guy and break it apart. Let's take a look, do it, and then see what happens. So I have 3g, right? This guy just kind of comes down again. Now I got what makes a 9. I got some more 3s. I need some g's, right? And it's a difference of squares. So I know I have a plus and a minus. And then what goes in the back? A 1. What time? 1 times 1 is 1, right? Now, that looks kind of weird, but let's just double check and make sure it actually works. 3 times 3, 3g is, 9g squared. Outside is going to be minus 3g. Inside is going to be plus 3g. positive 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Okay? So this does end up working. I know, it's super weird. And the minute you get 1s in the back, it's very common for students to stop here and not realize that you can go one more level. So your final answer is going to be this row right here. I'll write it one more time. We have 3g, right? Because we had that guy that we pulled out. Then we have 3g plus 1 and 3g minus 1. That is our final answer because we have factored the polynomial completely, okay? We pulled out the big stuff in the beginning, then I looked at this guy, and I kept on going. All right? So, as I said, you know, we were stuck in the house all day, yet again. We did get out and get some walks and everything, and, you know, me being me, I told some jokes throughout the day just to kind of, you know, test them out and see what people thought. And, of course, my wife was going crazy. She's like, I can't believe you keep telling these jokes. And then after breakfast, you know, because I had already told a handful of them, she goes, these jokes are awful. And I thought, you know what, let me put it back on her. So what did I do? I said, well, what do you want me to do? You know, I mean, you know, what do you expect me to do with all this? Because, like, I have all these jokes and I want to tell them, and what should I do? And I said, you know, so I'm telling all, like I said, I'm telling all the jokes. She's getting all crazy with me. And I said, you know, she's like, you have to stop telling these jokes. And I said to her, well, how do you expect me to do that, right? And she looks at me and she goes, whatever means necessary. And I looked at her and I said, no, it doesn't. Get it? No, it doesn't, because it doesn't, whatever. Okay, you might have to rewind that one, because I know I have some students in my class that when I tell a joke like that, they'll go, oh, I get it, but then they don't get it, you know. Then they just like to laugh with everybody else in the class and whatnot. I thought that one was pretty good. Okay, so moving right along, I got my stuff here, and let's see what we get. Well, this number was squared, but it's a little bit interesting because it's not a squared amount, right? It's not b squared, a squared, h squared, whatever. But that doesn't mean that I can't use that some value that was then squared and turned into a 4. So why can't I just do b squared, right? Because b squared times b squared is b to the 4th. Okay, it is a difference of squares, so I know I'm going to have my plus minus, so let me write that in. And then what two numbers make a 16? 4. All right? I know I'm going kind of quick now, but I'm hoping that you're starting to catch on, right? We started off with some of the basics here with squareds. Then we had one where we had to factor something out and then work on the plus minus thing. And now we're working on something where we had a value that wasn't just squared, it was actually to the 4th, and we had to bust it into 2 parts like that. All right, so let's keep on going. And like I said, you know, pause these videos. Don't just watch me do it. You know, you guys are laying on the couch, eating some nachos, watching Josh do math, and you're like, good job, dude. Keep going, explain this stuff. Try them with me, okay? The more you do this stuff with me and practice and see what you get, and then pause the video, try it, look at what you got, then watch me do it and go, oh, like I was so close. Okay, that's learning. You know, that's value because you're applying what you're seeing, you're practicing, and trust me, you're going to take away so much more of this stuff in these crazy times than if you just watch me do it and then do the lesson. All right, factor completely. Is there anything I can pull out of both of these? X. I don't know why I always see the letters first. It's just easier for my brain. Can I pull out a number? Yeah, I can pull out 5. Okay, what's left? X to the 4th minus, what times 5 is 45? 9. Okay, and I'm all set. And then once I did that, I'm noticing, oh, okay, this guy is squared, this guy is squared. I got another difference of squares that I can use. So, what makes an x to the 4th? X squareds. I know it's a plus minus. And the back value is a 3. And then my 5x just kind of comes down to the next row, because these are all my solutions to this problem, okay? Now the last thing that I need to do with this is then look at it and say, okay, I still have an x squared amount here. Can I go one more level, okay? Can I take this guy, like let's say I factored this, and let's say this was an 81, and I had a 9 and a 9. If I ended up here with an x squared minus 9, then I could do another one and go one more level, x plus 3, x minus 3, and get even more stuff, okay? If that last part didn't make sense, that's okay, but just start to look at every single part of these and start to look for more differences of squares, because they're going to throw them at you, okay? You're going to have problems where you're going to get something minus another perfect square amount and go, oh, it can go down even more and keep on going, okay? And that's what's going to happen as the numbers get a little bit bigger. Looks like this guy, this can't be, this can't be. The plus ones can never, because you're not going to get a difference of squares because of a plus minus to get a plus. So it's always going to be these guys. And if this is a perfect, if this is a squared amount and this is a squared amount, then you got to go one more level and do more stuff. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. So now let's write out this last guy. This one is like super big. 3c to the third plus 2c squared minus 147c minus 98. Okay. So we're factoring this thing completely. The first thing you should be doing is looking at it saying, is there anything I can pull out of everything and just take that out and make this thing smaller? The answer for this one is no. Okay, I picked this one on purpose, mainly because it's part of the homework. So if we can't do that, then let's move on to the next option, which would be to work on doing this guy by grouping. What can I pull out of the front two here? I can pull out C's, and I think that's it. Yeah, because the numbers can't come out. Okay, so if I pull out two C's, right, because I have 3 here and 2 here, I can pull 2 out equally. What's left? I get a 3C plus 2. Okay. And back here, now when it comes to this stuff, honestly, this is going to be your best friend, because there's no way for me to know what a 147 is, right? And so I just got to start looking at the numbers. For me, the quickest way to solve, to figure out like what number can I factor out, is, well, first look at these, right? These are kind of telltale signs that it might be a number times 3 and a number doubled to get the back, okay? If you don't catch on to that, that's okay. But we know that these are probably going to have to match just because that's the way the problems have been working. 98 divided by 2 is 49. So 147 divided by 49 is 3. Okay, so I take out 49, or negative 49, and I keep on going. Okay, negative 49, and then the reason I took out the negative is I want this guy to match this. If I just took out 49, then I would have a negative in the inside, right? Because these two multiplied together will get me that value. So I end up with 3c, and then a negative times a negative is positive. Oops. I'm sorry, a negative times a positive is negative, and that's what I would get. Okay? So let me regroup all of this stuff. And again, this is where you're applying the last assignment to this assignment and merging all of this work. Okay? So I get c squared minus 49, and then I have 3c plus 2. And I'm done. Or am I? I'm looking at these problems and I'm noticing something here can probably be made even smaller. And you're going, oh my gosh, dude, let's just stop at 1 row. Like, I'm cool with that, right? That's nice and neat. Looks good to me. But we haven't factored it completely, right? These guys here, we went down as far as we could. So why stop here? Well, the plus ones will never be able to be factorable because of the whole like middle part needing to disappear, right? You need a plus minus. This guy over here, I got c squared, and I have another number that when is squared equals 49. The answer is 7, right? So this guy can be busted down one more level. And I just talked about it, and I just led us right to it. Okay, so I have a c in the front, I have a plus minus, and the back value to make a 49 is going to be 7. And hopefully you're not saying, dude, what about this, Josh? What do I do? Just move it on down to the next level, right? All I did was take this guy here and split it into 2 more binomials, and now I'm just going to move this guy down as well. Let me make that a little bigger. Okay, so your final, get it? Final, because there's 3 parts. Oh, gosh, man, this is a tough crowd. It's very difficult talking to nobody. And I miss all you guys. Now, this is my final answer, right? I broke everything down as far down as I could go. I should probably look one more time and look at this guy, any of the minuses, and see if it can be dropped even more, but it can't, you know, because it's not squared, and this is just the number 7. So at this point, this is my answer, okay? And that's what I would expect you to do for that final problem that I assigned, at least within the topic, right? Then there's some mixed review and whatnot. Okay, so take your time with this. This stuff is getting complicated, and we're finishing up a chapter. So next I want to do a big review and go over all these things and make sure you got it. And then let's take a test, get some A's, and move on with our lives, okay? So once again, thanks for watching. Send me some more jokes. Send me any questions you have. Show me work. Don't just ask me questions. Try to show me what you are doing wrong so that I can kind of help work you through that stuff, all right? Thanks again, and I will be seeing you.